Did you know there's a secret spot in the world where four countries meet? In a dark, hidden cave deep in the mountains, where four countries touch, sits the Denisova Cave. This hidden place holds secrets from thousands of years ago. The Denisovans, an ancient mystery, vanished 30,000 years ago, leaving few clues. Neanderthals, our distant cousins, disappeared 40,000 years ago, their legacy faintly mixed into our DNA. In this mysterious cave, scientists encountered unknown signs of a very old, mysterious life that wasn't human. Join us as we explore the shocking truth of early humans. Chapter 1. The Secret of Siberia. Siberia is a place where only about 36.8 million people live, facing freezing winters with temperatures around 13° Fahrenheit. In this challenging environment, they discovered a cave with pristine conditions for one of the most incredible discoveries in human existence. The exploration of the Denisova Cave started in the 1970s when scientists from the Soviet Union first went into the cave. Their main goal was to study the cave's natural history and learn about the ancient animals that used to live there. They wanted to find out how the cave was formed and what kind of ancient creatures were in that area. At that time, they didn't pay much attention to what the cave could tell us about ancient humans, because the tools to study old DNA weren't unavailable. The cave is named after Denis, a man from the 18th century who lived there alone, which adds a human touch to its ancient story. The cave always stays pretty cold, which is great because it helps keep ancient DNA safe. This DNA is like a treasure for scientists because it can tell them much about the people and animals living thousands of years ago. They found a piece of bone that was from a Denisovan child, and it was between 30,000 and 48,000 years old. This bone and other discoveries have changed what we know about Denisovans. It shows they were closely related to Neanderthals and even contributed to the genes of people living today in certain parts of the world. They also found a toe bone that belonged to a Neanderthal, proving that the cave was a safe place for different types of ancient people. This particular Neanderthal was different from others, showing that there was a lot of mixing between groups back then, which made our ancestors more diverse. Scientists have also learned that the animals and people living around the cave changed a lot because of the weather and environment. This tells us that the climate had a big impact on how and where people lived. A team led by Professor Tom Hyam worked hard to figure out when Denisovans and Neanderthals used the cave. They discovered that Denisovans were there as early as 200,000 years ago, and Neanderthals visited the cave between 200,000 and 100,000 years ago. They used special dating methods to learn this, helping us understand more about the cave and the area's history during different ice ages. The Denisova Cave is not just important because it was a shelter. The things found there, like tools and art, teach us a lot about how these ancient people lived, what they could make, and how they interacted with each other. This cave keeps giving new information that helps us understand more about the early days of humans, showing us how complex and connected our history really is. Deep in the Altai Mountains, where Russia, China, Mongolia, and Kazakhstan come together, there is a special place called the Denisova Cave. This cave holds an important piece of history that has caught the attention of people who study old things and history. The story of ancient humans. The cave is full of different rooms and paths, suggesting that ancient humans might have lived there for a long time. There were hints that this cave could tell us more about where ancient humans went and how they lived. However, it wasn't until 2008 that the cave became very famous. This happened when a team of Russian archaeologists found a small bone from a little finger. This little bone turned out to be very special because it came from a type of human that was different from Neanderthals and modern humans, introducing us to the Denisovans.
Several people around the world have now discovered more Denisovan DNA than researchers previously thought.
The discovery of the Denisovans changed how we see human history. It showed us that our family tree is more complicated than we thought, and that different types of humans once lived together and even mixed with each other. The Denisovans, Neanderthals, and our ancestors shared the world, and we even have some Denisovan DNA in us, especially some people in Asia and Oceania. This mixing gave us some benefits, like living in very high places. Over time, more discoveries in the Denisova Cave, like teeth and more bones, have told us more about how the Denisovans looked, how they lived, and the tools they used. They seem smart and might have met and shared their lives with Neanderthals and modern humans. Their DNA is found in people today, showing they mixed with our ancestors and gave us helpful traits for living in different environments. The Denisova Cave is still exciting for archaeologists because it keeps giving new information about the Denisovans and their world. Every new find helps us understand more about how ancient humans lived, moved around, and interacted with each other. This cave's stories are still being uncovered, promising to change our view of human history even more. The story starts with a discovery that surprised everyone: a bone from a group of ancient humans called Denisovans. Until this bone was found, no one even knew Denisovans existed. This discovery was a big deal for people who study old human history, because it changed a lot of what we thought about how humans developed over time. It got everyone, from experts in science to regular folks, really excited to learn more about these ancient people. Finding this bone showed us that our family tree of human history has a lot more branches than we previously thought. The place where this bone was found, known as Denisova Cave, was a very special spot where different groups of ancient humans met for many years. Siberia's cold keeps whispers of old times, telling us about ancient people. Chapter 2: Frozen Echoes of the Past. The cold climate in this region makes it difficult to carry out digs and study the cave. But at the same time, this cold helps preserve old bones and DNA really well. These challenges don't discourage scientists. In fact, they make the cave even more exciting to explore. Since it's hard to reach, tourists or construction haven't spoiled the cave. Every visit by researchers brings new discoveries about Denisovans and our shared past. Everything they find, from ancient tools to genetic material, gives us more insight into how these ancient human groups lived, moved, and interacted with each other. Research at Denisova Cave has also made us think differently about where ancient humans lived and their level of sophistication. For example, we found out that Denisovans were related to people living far away in areas like Melanesia, indicating they traveled far and had a significant influence across Asia. The discovery of intricate tools and jewelry suggests Denisovans were quite skilled and imaginative, more so than previously believed. The exploration of Denisova Cave's history begins with this remarkable discovery that has changed our understanding of human evolution. The Denisovans, a mysterious group different from both us and Neanderthals, add complexity to our family tree. They branched off from Neanderthals around 400,000 years ago and lived alongside them and early modern humans. This discovery lets us imagine a world where different types of humans coexisted. However, piecing together what Denisovans looked like is challenging because we have only a few pieces of their bones. Despite this, these small pieces have provided big clues with the help of new scientific techniques, suggesting that Denisovans were strong and well adapted to the cold conditions of the Ice Age in Siberia. The story teaches us that the Denisovans were not isolated as once thought. Instead, they came into contact and mixed with Neanderthals and early humans, impacting our shared history and the genetic makeup of today's populations. Their genetic material is found in people living today, particularly in regions of Asia and Oceania, revealing a greater level of interaction and mixing among ancient human groups than previously understood. For instance, individuals in Melanesia carry a significant amount of Denisovan DNA, which influences their health and their ability to adapt to various environments. This finding about the Denisovans sheds light on our past and helps us grasp the influence of ancient genes on our current lives, such as our resistance to diseases or our capacity to live at high altitudes. A surprising find in the mountains changes what we know about early humans. Chapter 3: Terrifying Encounter Inside the Cave. This revelation, originating from genetic research in the early 21st century, has dramatically shifted our comprehension of human history. The fact that interbreeding occurred indicates that Denisovans and Neanderthals were not separate species, but rather closely related to early humans. This interbreeding reveals biological proximity and complex social interactions among our ancestors, Neanderthals, and possibly other unidentified ancient human groups. It hints at a dense network of interactions and migrations throughout ancient Eurasia, which is far more intricate than the previously believed straightforward evolutionary paths. Regarding their lifestyle, Denisova Cave in the Altai Mountains of Siberia has provided a wealth of information. This site has unveiled sophisticated tools, a bone needle, and jewelry, dating back tens of thousands of years. These discoveries suggest that Denisovans had survival skills, an appreciation for beauty, and social bonds. The presence of jewelry, in particular, indicates their capacity for symbolic thought and art appreciation, challenging our previous understandings of ancient humans' cognitive abilities. The Denisovan discoveries have revolutionized our view of evolutionary biology, presenting a complex picture of our ancestry that is much richer than once thought. With each new finding, from DNA sequences to small artifacts, our perception of ancient humans grows more detailed, showing them as complex entities with their own cultures, technologies, and interconnected histories. These discoveries concern our origins and relationships, showcasing a network of interactions among various ancient human species across Eurasia. This interconnectedness, reflected in the genetic legacy found in modern humans, highlights a shared story of adaptation, migration, and survival strategies that have shaped us as a species. The impact of these discoveries goes beyond academic interest, challenging our views on identity, culture, and the essence of what it means to be human. They urge us to rethink our human essence, emphasizing the collective journey of diverse human species across time. As research continues in Denisova Cave and other archaeological sites, we're reminded of the complexity and depth of human history, a narrative enriched by countless individuals, innovations, and interactions over thousands of years. Despite all our knowledge, the Denisovans are still largely a mystery to us. Despite the progress in genetic technology and archaeological methods, we know about them mostly through a small number of remains, and the genetic marks they have left in today's people. Scientists carefully gather clues from these remains and DNA to better understand our ancient history. These efforts gradually reveal how Denisovans looked, and how they moved across lands and interacted with other human species. The Denisovan genetic material is particularly valuable, offering insights into how humans have adapted to different climates, fought off diseases, and evolved both in mind and body over millennia. As experts explore the Denisovan genetic material more, they find signs of ancient mating between Denisovans, Neanderthals, modern humans, and possibly other ancient groups that we haven't yet identified. This ongoing exploration constantly adds new information to our understanding of human origin. Every new find in the Denisova Cave or Denisovan DNA in people today helps fill in another part of the human evolution story, showing us how ancient humans lived, what illnesses they might have battled, and how they related to their environment and each other. The fascination with Denisovans isn't just for scientific curiosity. It deeply impacts our understanding of how diverse and resilient humans are as a species. As research continues, scientists hope to uncover more about how Denisovans lived, the tools they used, and how far they traveled. Future discoveries might also explain what happened to the Denisovans and how they still affect us now. This exploration goes beyond science, touching on who we are, where we belong, and our relationship with the world. Looking into our past helps us see potential futures. By learning more about Denisovans, we are reminded that all humans are connected, sharing genetics and a history that goes back to ancient times. This research isn't just about filling in historical gaps. It's about understanding what it means to be human and how we've survived through different eras. The Valley of Death in Siberia's Yakutia region is another intriguing yet mysterious place that draws scientists, historians, and adventurers. Situated in one of the coldest spots on Earth, with temperatures dropping below 58 degrees Fahrenheit. The landscape of the Sakha Republic is more than just a testament to the extreme conditions life can withstand. It's also a place full of untold stories waiting to be discovered. Despite being larger than Argentina, this sparsely populated region features vast icy landscapes, thick forests, and mysterious events that add to the allure of the Valley of Death. This challenging yet fascinating area represents the kind of environments where Denisovans and other ancient humans might have lived and left their marks. Studying these places today helps scientists imagine how ancient people survived and thrived in such harsh conditions, providing a richer picture of our ancestors' adaptability and resilience. A dark story waits in Siberia's cave, mixing myths with real ancient tales. Chapter 4: Denisovans' Dark Side. The quest to understand Denisovans and their world is crucial to the larger endeavor to piece together human history. Each discovery, whether it's a fragment of bone, a piece of ancient DNA, or a tool unearthed from the frozen ground, brings us closer to understanding the complex web of human ancestry. It's a reminder of the vast tapestry of human existence, woven over thousands of years, and the enduring legacy of those who came before us. This journey of discovery not only fills in the blanks of our past, but also enlightens our present, teaching us about resilience, adaptation, and the interconnectedness of all human life. Many people are curious about a place called the Valley of Death because it has many strange metal shapes scattered around. These shapes look like domes, long tubes, and balls. People have different ideas about where these shapes came from. Some think people made them from a very old civilization, maybe thousands of years ago. Others believe they came from space rocks crashing into the Earth, especially because a big event called the Tunguska explosion happened in Syberia in 1908, knocking down lots of trees over a huge area. Another exciting idea is that these metal shapes could show that beings from other planets have visited Earth. Some people say this because the metal is very unusual and not like anything found in nature or made by humans. Scientists have tested the metal and found it very confusing, which makes people even more curious about where it came from. Finding out more about these metal shapes is very hard. The Valley of Death is in a remote place with very bad weather, making it difficult for people to study there. Only a few people have managed to go on expeditions to the valley because you need special gear and a lot of planning to get there and do research. There are also old stories told by the Yakut people who live near the valley. They say the valley is dangerous, with stories about ancient gods and big battles. Some stories even say there is a curse on the valley, and that bad things will happen to those who go there without respecting its secrets. These stories add to the mystery of the valley and make it even more interesting. The Valley of Death in Syberia is a mysterious place, with a mix of old myths and new science trying to understand it. It's in a very cold and hard-to-reach part of the world. Local tribes and a few brave explorers tell stories about the valley. They talk about cauldrons, metal shapes like domes, found in the ground. These stories say the cauldrons are warm inside and can make people sick or even kill them. People used to travel through this area long ago, and some tried to find shelter in these metal shapes, but ended up getting very sick. These metal shapes and the stories about them make people both amazed and scared. Everyone has different ideas about how these shapes got there, whether they are from ancient people, space rocks, or even visitors from other planets. These metal shapes in the Valley of Death continue to be a big mystery. The hard conditions in the valley and the old stories told by locals make it a very interesting place that keeps people guessing about the true story of these mysterious metal shapes. In 1936, a story was told about a geologist who some old local people took to see a strange half-ball sticking out of the ground. It was made of a smooth, reddish metal and was so sharp that it could easily cut a fingernail. People have tried many times to find and study these half-balls again, but they are hard to find, and the area is difficult to travel through, keeping these objects a mystery. There are many old stories about these metal half-balls. Some say they sink into the ground over time or get scattered around and broken. This suggests that the land changes, sometimes hiding and sometimes showing these strange things as time goes on. People have different ideas about where these metal objects came from. Some think they might be from space rocks hitting the Earth, especially because Syberia has seen big space events before. Others think they might have been made by people from a very advanced old civilization or even by visitors from other planets. These ideas are supported by stories of big explosions and disasters linked to these metal objects, which sound like atomic bombs or space rocks hitting the Earth. Some stories say that these metal objects can make people sick, like they have something radioactive about them. This has made some people think that the objects are made of materials that don't come from Earth, or that they are connected to big disasters that happened a long time ago. Even though these metal objects are very interesting and could teach us a lot, the Valley of Death where they are found is still not well known or studied. The hard-to-travel geography, the local stories, and the mysterious metal objects make people very curious and careful. Yet in the darkest places of Syberia, silent places hold puzzles from 1,000 years ago. Chapter 5: Silent Witness. The mystery of the Valley of Death in Syberia shows how much people love to learn about unknown things. It reminds us that there are still secrets on Earth, in hard-to-reach places, waiting to be discovered. Whether these metal objects are natural, made by people a long time ago, or signs of aliens, they show us how much we still have to learn about our world. These metal objects keep people guessing because they are so unusual and hard to explain. Every idea about them, from space rocks to ancient high-tech civilizations or aliens, shows how creative and curious humans are about the unknown. The Valley of Death, with its hard landscape and mysterious stories, is a perfect example of the places on Earth that still have secrets. It makes scientists, adventurers, and anyone who loves mysteries want to learn more, even though it's a tough place to explore. The story of these mysterious metal objects is far from over, and it invites us to keep looking for answers and exploring our amazing planet. In Syberia, there are stories of strange happenings, like people dying in weird ways, seeing giants with one eye, and finding huge objects hidden underground. These stories have been told for a long time, going back to the late 1800s. A Russian explorer named Richard Mack wrote down some of these stories. He talked about big metal objects in the ground that could make people sick if they stayed too close for too long. People have tried to find out more about these metal objects, but it's still not clear what they are. Some think they might be related to poisonous gases from volcanoes. A huge blast with no cause left behind turns into a big mystery about space. Chapter 6: The UFO Visitor. One of the biggest mysteries happened in 1908, called the Tunguska event. It was a huge explosion over Syberia, near the Tunguska River. The blast knocked down millions of trees over a huge area but didn't leave a crater. This event is a big puzzle because it shows how powerful and surprising nature can be. The Tunguska explosion was extremely powerful, much stronger than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima, and its effects were felt very far away, even 1,140 miles from where it happened. The ground shook all across Eurasia because of it. People who saw it described a bright blue light in the sky, brighter than the sun, which was followed by a huge boom. This boom sounded like the roar of big guns and was so strong it could knock people over and shatter windows a long way off. After the explosion, the sky at night looked brighter than usual in both Asia and Europe for a few nights. Scientists think this was because the explosion sent tiny ice particles high up into the sky, and these ice particles made the light from the sun spread out more. Even though scientists have studied this event a lot, they couldn't find any pieces of a meteorite where it happened. This mystery has led to many different guesses about what caused it. Some people think it was a comet or an asteroid that blew up before hitting the ground. But because no one has found any pieces, there are also some very strange ideas out there, like it being caused by aliens, tiny black holes, or antimatter. The Tunguska explosion reminds us that things like this could happen again. For example, the Chelyabinsk meteor in 2013 was smaller, but showed us what these kinds of explosions can do. It's really important to study events like Tunguska so we can be better prepared if something similar happens in the future. NASA is even working on ways to protect us, like the DART mission, which successfully changed the path of an asteroid's moon to show we could steer dangerous asteroids away from Earth. People are still very interested in the Tunguska event, not just because it's a mystery, but also because it shows how Earth interacts with space. It's a reminder of the unexpected things that can come from space and affect our planet. This Tunguska explosion was incredibly strong, with the power of about 3 to 5 million tons of TNT. This makes it the biggest explosion caused by a space object hitting Earth that we know of. Scientists think this huge explosion was because of a meteor, which is a piece of asteroid or comet, blowing up in the air above the Earth. This meteor was quite big, about 160-200 feet across, and it exploded before it could hit the ground, about 3 to 6 miles up in the sky. It approached Earth very fast from the east-southeast, moving at about 60,000 mph. Unlike other times when space rocks hit Earth, this time there was no big hole left because the meteor broke apart in the air. A scientist from Russia named Leonid Kulik was the first to study this event in detail during the 1920s. He went to where it happened and saw a huge area with trees all fallen in a pattern that spread out from a center point, but he found no hole in the ground. People who saw the explosion said they saw a very bright light and heard loud bangs. The force from the explosion was so strong it made people fall over and broke windows very far away. This explosion was so big that machines that measure quakes felt it across Europe and Asia. It even caused special clouds that glow at night and made the sky light up far away in Europe and Asia, which scientists think happened because the explosion sent ice particles very high up into the sky. They are still seeking answers. Chapter 7. Finding Answers Inside the Mysterious Cave. The mystery of what caused the Tunguska explosion has made many people, including scientists, very curious. They have come up with lots of ideas about what happened. Some think a comet caused it because the explosion made special glowing clouds in the sky, which could happen if a comet made of ice and dust blew up and sent ice into the air. People have thought of many different stories about what could have caused the Tunguska event. Some of these ideas are based on real science, while others are just wild guesses. For a long time, one popular idea was that a comet blew up over Tunguska. Comets are big balls of ice and dust that travel through space, and if one came into Earth's atmosphere very fast, it could heat up so much that it would just evaporate before hitting the ground. This could explain why there wasn't any big piece of space rock found at the site and no big hole in the ground. This idea about a comet is interesting because comets have a lot of ice, which might have turned into those special glowing clouds in the sky after the explosion. One idea suggests that a big explosion happened because a space rock, which is mostly made of rock and metal, not ice like some other space things, hit the atmosphere. This idea thinks that a hard, fast-moving object turned into gas in the sky, causing a huge blast, but not leaving any big pieces behind. Going into ideas that are less sure, some people think space aliens might be involved. Like maybe a spaceship from another planet had a big accident and exploded like a bomb, similar to a very bad explosion that happened in Hiroshima, but without the harmful, invisible rays that usually come from such explosions. This thought comes from a story by a Russian writer named Alexander Kazanchev, who saw the damage in Hiroshima and a place called Tunguska and thought they looked alike. There are even wilder guesses, like maybe the anger of a powerful spirit from old stories, or a crash with a very tiny black hole or a bit of antimatter caused the explosion. These ideas are fun to think about, but don't have real proof, so scientists usually don't believe them. Even though these stories and guesses make the Tunguska event sound mysterious, it shows us how Earth can be affected by things from space. While most scientists think natural causes are to blame, the mystery of the event makes people both want to learn more and imagine all sorts of stories. This mix of learning and guessing keeps the story of what happened very interesting. Could mainstream media be hiding details about these events? Or is the truth more horrible than we imagine? Smash that like button and subscribe for more. Share your thoughts in the comments.